I'm done talking for a second. I need to, get some oxygen back in here. What do you feel about all the stuff that is happening right now? One, give me your take on the Saban stuff, right? Because that's obviously the headline. And two, give me your take on some of these moves that LSU's made defensively and on the coaching staff. And honestly, try to connect the Saban move to how much it can benefit LSU.
So I guess my take on it is you go through a 365-day, 366-day leap year, right?
Yeah, leap year. Don't forget.
People forget.
Right? That's the take of the year. Football is only played for about 4.5 months, 5 months, and somehow it doesn't matter if it's in season, the beginning of the off season, the end of the off season, the start of free agency, the start of camp. Football finds a way to be king of conversation.
Always.
All the time in the sports world, right? Saban announces this, or the announcement comes that this decision has been made. It's unbelievable. I think everybody's kind of taken back on it a little bit. Everybody's a little shook up on it a little bit. I would have to imagine it didn't have to do a bunch with the loss.
Right.
I can only imagine a man that's done what he's done, that's driven the way he is, that's geared the way he is. A loss would have probably made him come back. I think this
One
is
play
something
from a national championship.
Yeah, I think this is something that's probably been cooking for a while. I would imagine they have a very, very, very good idea on who's next and how they're going to run this thing going forward. But that's a man that it's not about recency bias, right? Like if you think about what he's done in the game, he's gotten himself to a spot as a coach that, honestly, as a coach, is almost impossible to do. As a player, it's pretty much the pinnacle of how you do it. But there's one name. Like when you reach one name and it's pretty much across the sports world and or maybe even outside of the sports world, people know who you are. That's when you know you've really done something, right? Mike, LeBron, Kobe, Saban, Tom, Brady, however you want to go. Like when you're known by one name, that's when you know you've done something that's not been really touched. Right. So, and that's where he's gotten himself to, and that's the kind of presence he's brought to football, college football, and it's been incredible. So that part of it is impressive to me. The LSU moves are they're coming together right now, right? Like you bring back Bo Davis, you brought back Blake Baker, you're putting together that side of it. I will be very, very, very interested in to see who's going to move now, right? Because like we said, okay, we know Saban's gone, right? And I'm sure they have a good idea, and I'm sure it's probably someone who has a ton of continuity with that place and or the conference and or somehow how to run that spot. But let's be honest. At this point, what he built there's players there on that roster that said, I wanted to be there because I'm going to play for Saban.
Marlon Humphrey, he's in the NFL, obviously not at Alabama anymore, but Marlon Humphrey tweeted, my ass would be in that portal the minute I heard the news.
So that alone tells you that. So it'll be very interesting to see with LSU bringing in Davis, right? He's coming from a place who we just saw played some really good football and some really good defense all year, right? Respectable. And they have a lot of recruits, and there's a lot of people that you can be pulling out of that state. It'll be interesting to see how this thing kind of goes over the next couple weeks, what players fall where, which players move where, because it's the Wild Wild West right now, right? Like that's kind of what this thing is. So it's going to be crazy to see it going forward.
Makes a lot of sense that Kevin Steele retired too.
Well, he already said the defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
everybody knows the defensive coordinator. He's gone, I'm gone now. And he didn't say that.
But he retired, yesterday?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
He was there for what, 2 years? 1 year? 1 year.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, he's a college football kind of lifer. He's
an SEC West lifer.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And so to hear that announcement, there's probably some whispers. And I just saw Ross Dellinger tweet this. Which
and when Ross tweets something, it's good stuff.
So Ross Dellinger, per his Twitter, a couple of days after Alabama's semifinal loss, Nick Saban was in his office working. Today, he was on an SEC head coaches call, and he interviewed coaches for open staff positions both yesterday and this morning. Incredible.
Wow.
So I don't know if he's trying to fill the void or
no. That guy just works, man. That's who he is.
He
doesn't know anything different, and that's why I feel. And I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know how soon it'll be announced. Like I'm not really on the train where I think this will be announced. But you're crazy if this hasn't been a working that he's kind of probably known was going to be at the end of the season. And you're crazy to think that they're not already lining up the ducks to have who's next. That guy doesn't perform that way.
Well,
he doesn't do things like that.
You're crazy to think that Nick Saban would just retire and basically say, okay, I'm done, I'm going home. No, I'm not going to help you with anything, right? Like he's not just removing himself from the entire program and saying, I'm done, I don't want to do this anymore. He's retiring, and there's going to be an onboarding. There's going to be, I'm sure he's going to pick as heir apparent. Like, he's going to be there for the transition. And, so he's working there and he has to keep doing it business as usual. Make sure he keeps the recruits there. He's going to try. Obviously, do I think it's going to be a mass exodus? I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
But I think that you're going to see some guys in the portal that went there just for him, right? Maybe there was neck and neck and they really wanted to be closer to home. But then they were like, you know what? What's going to put me over the top? Playing for Nick. Okay, well, now that Nick's not there, I'm going to go back and transfer to the school that maybe I really kind of wanted to go to, not just the head coach.
I think, too, for his name, which is crazy. So it's very easy to say his actual coaching career there it will live in infamy forever there, right? But you know what else will actually grow that thing to the next level? Because let's be honest, I don't care who you get to come in that thing next. To say that he's going to do what Saban did and or better is as about a shot in the dark as you can get, right? So you would only imagine that he would be giving this next guy whatever and however and whenever what nuggets that he needs to be able to be successful at this job. Because let's be honest, the chances that you do what Saban did and all of a sudden he becomes the number 2 there, it's so slim to none that it's not even funny.
What's crazy, it doesn't feel like it's on staff. But because of just the turnstiles that he's had where he churns people out, because being on that staff, you're either in the Alabama rehab program where you failed and needed a place to, get your 60-day guarantee, or you've been so good that you've been poached to go somewhere else. So now it's just a bunch of his ducklings that are out there that you have to go get. And if you're Nick Saban, I'd imagine he's going to be have a huge voice in the room of who's next.
No doubt. I mean, he's not going to just –
He's not – that's what I'm saying.
He's not moving away from the whole thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of options, right? There's a lot of people. There's a lot of noise.
That's the funny thing. Is Alabama good because of Nick Saban, or is Alabama Alabama? Will it become – how long is that sustainable where –
No. That's the thing. Listen.
What? You talking about moving forward?
Right.
He's giving you the keys to a Ferrari, right? Now, there's a lot of ways you can drive the Ferrari. You can drive it because you want to be seen and just stroll on, and you got this. Or
and you don't know.
You could be Jeff Gordon, and you could be driving this thing and winning NASCAR races and be able to take this and understand how to use it, right?
Well, Coach, I mean, how much more could you do with the Ferrari? Nick had that thing floored.
That's my point. That's my point, though.
Can't push through the floorboard.
I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the guy replacing him.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Can't push through the floorboard. So, where are you gonna go?
That thing was topped out.
So you're giving him
praise Dale.
You're giving him an unbelievable opportunity. Whoever the next coach is, an unbelievable opportunity, a very good situation. But there's only one Nick Saban, and the guy may get the job and do very well. But here's the deal: 11-2 is really good. What Nick Saban did, losing 27 games in 17 years, probably not going to ever happen again.
And they were still calling for his head at times. The real deep down Alabama fan was, I think Nick lost his fastball. Blitz, Bama blitz.
And so, listen.
You're walking into an absolute pressure
You're walking into a gold mine, but you're walking into a really tough job. Is it a good job? Of course it's a good job. Is it going to be a job that's going to be very easy to succeed? I don't think so, right? Because he's built a culture there in a way, right? They're going to try to bring somebody that has under his tutelage, right, has been underneath him before at Alabama, that has the same mindset and mentality, bring him to Alabama to try to keep that together. Now, they may for a year or two because it's kind of hard, but then the sustainability is going to be the difficult part.
You saw it with Sean Payton and Dennis Allen. Whenever you try to keep the culture that's there, and everybody that – I would more liken it to the Patriots with Bill Belichick. Everybody tries to go get somebody from the Patriots because of the Patriot way and do your job. And, dude, there's only one Bill Belichick. There's only one Nick Saban.
Patriots way is not really working much anymore.
I know, but, think of Tom Brady. However you want to phrase it. But the Patriots dynasty, those two are lockstep.
Right.
If you try to go copy that mold and go get one of the coordinators or somebody that was just under a Bill Belichick or under a Nick Saban,
right,
it's not guaranteed to work because there's only one of them, some bitches.
Here's where it becomes hard to, I guess, reciprocate what Nick has done. Because of, like you said, the trend that he's had there is literally every coach that comes in is either on rehab and in the fast track to being the next head coach and or professional ball offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator next, or it's the young and up-and-coming guy who's not there long and they bounce. That's really been his trend lately, right? So if that's the trend and you bring somebody in as the top guy under him, are they going to be able to replace these guys at the same? Because if you keep running with success there, like say you go back next year and you have 10-plus wins, you don't think everybody's still going to be poaching at every one of his assistants? Can you now come in and be able to basically play ventriloquist, right? Keep moving strings in and out and still churning out the same success. That's where this thing becomes hard, because it's not like over the last 10 years you've seen just the same faces there in the same spots in the same roles doing the same thing. That's not the case. So being able to do that is going to be the really tricky part.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be
I think it's going to be tough because we talked about this a little bit before the show, where what Nick Saban left LSU as was in such, like you said, a gold mine. It was such a great place to be able to come, where even a Les Miles could come in and win immediately because he had so much talent in the pool that it was like, all right, there was no transfer portal, there was no NIL. It was, these are the guys that are here. Look what I'm giving you.
Not even, it's like what I mean by that too is like so you want to talk about Les, right? Like let's just think of where this thing was when Les jumped into this thing. You still had Jimbo Fisher pre-national championship as a head coach. You still had Todd Monken, pre-national champion as offensive coordinator, right now offensive coordinator to the best team in the NFL. You still had prime Bo Pelini. You still had young Corey Raymond. You still had young Stacey Searles, who's the offensive line coach with USC right now. Like, you had all of those dudes running the show under you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what talent you actually have on the team. It's very obvious that now when you look at it forward, like, oh, shit, they had some dudes coaching too.
Yeah.
And it mattered. So that's my point. It's not about the talent that you bring in and out. What are you teaching these guys with? What are you developing these guys with? And it's very obvious that Les did great here. But you can't undermine the guys that were also working with him and working under him at the same time, who actually came over from the Nick Saban tree as well.
Oh, but yeah, there's the famous picture of the 2003 staff where it's like head coach, head coach, head coach, head coach.
And like successful head coaches. But I think to your point, right, to your, you want to finish your, because go ahead.
Yeah, what I was going to say is like Jared's absolutely right. Like it's unbelievable the tree that Nick Saban built, especially at LSU. But I was going to say the reason that I think the two situations are different from Alabama to LSU is the ability to recruit Louisiana. Nick Saban had the keys of the kingdom here. Like you saw him come in and get talent out the state, pretty much carte blanche whenever he wanted at a time where it was, okay, Dylan Moses is from Louisiana on the cover of ESPN magazine, I'm going to snake him. Like, he would always get one or two guys from Louisiana, and I don't know if Alabama has the same, like, I guarantee you they don't have the same pool of talent in Alabama to be able to go
you can hire a really good coach. They're just not going to be Nick Saban, right? Like, they don't have that name to carry that weight, right? So I think what Saban did at LSU in a short period of time established the program as a bona fide winner, right? A program that you can go in there and you can win quick, right? But he only did it over a course of 4 years. Saban did it over the course of how many, what's 2007 till now? What is that, 15 years? 16 years. So he did it for a longer period of time. So the footprint, right, and like the stability of it is still there. But at the end of the day, the guy who replaces him has to be able to walk into a guy's room in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and say, hey, listen, we're still Alabama. We're still going to be really good. We still got all these talents. Yeah, sure, but you're not Nick. So it's going to be a little bit of a harder sell for the new guy, no matter how good he is, because nobody's going to have that resume. And so I think that's where the challenge is going to be, right? It is surrounded by good coaches that are there, and it's surrounded by a stable program, but you're going to have to replace the name.
Dead.
You know what I mean? The king is dead, and so and I don't mean that in like a morbid way, by the way. Like,
no,
it's a quote from like movies like A
Knight's Tale.
Yeah, like whatever Game of Thrones or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff.